Like it, subscribe to our channel, comment. Many more interesting top films are waiting for you. Enjoy watching. Hiding in the depths, hiding in the woods. 10 dinosaurs which, according to legend, exist today. Once upon a time, reptiles ruled the planet. Their diversity is astonishing, from tyrannosaurs with terrifying jaws to diplodocs with long necks. Only slightly less astonishing is the fact that 6-year-old children can remember all these bizarre Latin names. Unfortunately for the dinosaurs, though fortunately for the mammals, the time of the reptiles ended about 66 million years ago, after the fall of the asteroid. Virtually all of the giant prehistoric animals were wiped out forever. Or did they survive after all? Some people, including cryptozoologists, believe that a few dinosaurs still roam our planet. However, there is still no credible evidence to suggest that these creatures are real. Nevertheless, legends still tell of prehistoric monsters. The last Brontosaurus. According to legend, the dense rainforests of the Democratic Republic of Congo hide one of the last great undiscovered wonders of the world, a mysterious creature of epic proportions. It is a massive animal known as the Mokele Mbembe. In Lingala dialect, it means he who stops the flow of rivers. It is believed to be 10 meters long with grayish skin and a long neck. Eyewitnesses report that this monster resembles a Brontosaurus, except for the fact that Mokele Mbembe is not a vegetarian. When this beast goes to the banks of the river, it allegedly devours crocodiles, hippos, and elephants. The legends about him have been around for a long time. The first published mention of Mokele Mbembe appeared in a 1909 book, Animals and Men, by Carl Hagenbeck, a zoologist who tried to find the creature. Of course, Hagenbeck was not the only foreigner who hunted for Mokele Mbembe. More recently, the so-called Numak expedition tried to find the animal, though without success. Pterosaur in Iowa. Of course, pterosaurs are not real dinosaurs, but they are big, scaly, and completely extinct. Maybe Iowa has its own legend. This strange series of events took place in 1903, when several famous and respected people in the town of Van Meter reported witnessing a terrifying flying reptile with bat wings, 3-toed paws, and a glowing light emanating from its forehead. In the early 1900s, the creature was probably thought to be some kind of demonic entity, so people went on a dinosaur hunt. Eventually, they heard the monster scream from an abandoned coal mine. There, they found a reptile and its cub who had disappeared into the darkness. They never returned to Iowa. Nevertheless, a festival in honor of the monster is held every September. Dinosaurs in Papua New Guinea. If you looked outside your window and saw a 3-foot-tall Tyrannosaurus with sharp teeth, what would you do? Well, back in 2004, several people in Papua New Guinea reported seeing one. The creature allegedly devoured 3 dogs. One witness, Christine Semay, described the dinosaur as a very huge and ugly animal. Villagers called the police. The police checked the swamps near Rabaul, a town destroyed by a volcanic eruption in 1994. And, of course, they found nothing. Stegosaurus in the Congo. This creature is known here by the name Imbielu Bielu 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 Bielu. According to the book Mysterious Creatures, a guide to cryptozoology, the only published sighting report of Imbeelumu Bielu came from Roy P. Michaela, a guy who interviewed a woman named Odette Gessonger, who told him that her parents had once seen a living dinosaur with mossy spines protruding from its back, which supposedly resembled a Stegosaurus during a 1980s Mokele Bielu hunt. Alas, this remained a level of gossip. Predators run through South America. Back in 2004, the Chilean newspaper El Mercurio reported the rather disturbing news that near the port city of Arica in Chile, witnesses in 2 different vehicles reported seeing dinosaurs standing in the middle of the road. These 2-legged creatures, which resembled the famous velociraptors from Jurassic Park, were apparently jumping around like kangaroos. This story was reported by various South American newspapers, but unfortunately, no facts to support it were provided. In addition, the described almost 2-meter-long creatures could not be velociraptors, as they were very small in size. Some claim that there is still a T-Rex living in Australia. One local dinosaur legend tells of Brontosaurus, a roaring predator big enough to devour cattle, yet cunning enough not to be photographed. It has been claimed that stories about Brontosaurus began with Aboriginal mythology, but it is difficult to find proper sources to support this fact. The cryptid seems to have disappeared off the radar in recent years, with the last alleged sighting occurring in 1985. Nevertheless, although the evidence to support the existence of the monster is highly unreliable, the very notion of the T-Rex living in Australia is entertaining enough to continue to inspire book writing on the subject to this day. The living Heterodactyl, or the Great Deception. There have been many strange stories in the Old West. One of them involved the shooting of a giant winged animal that is linked to Native American legend. Many believe it was a prehistoric flying lizard. In addition to its massive wings, it supposedly had no feathers, but had many sharp teeth. It also supposedly resembled a huge alligator with an extremely elongated tail, and its eyes were the size of dinner plate. Despite reports and records, no photo of the creature was ever published, which has not prevented fake photos from circulating on the internet years later. Beware of Bunya. If you're familiar with Australian Aboriginal mythology, you've probably heard of Bunya. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, Bunyip is an amphibious water spirit that roams the swamps of Australia, makes loud noises, and has a bad habit of eating people. Apparently, he prefers women and children. Bunyip is often described as resembling a dinosaur sauropod with a long neck and thick hippopotamus body. On the other hand, other descriptions do not describe it as reptilian. Some call Bunyip a humanoid creature. Others say Bunyip has big red eyes, sharp claws, and webbed hands. A whole world of plesiosaurs. Given all these legends about sea snakes, it would be very convenient if one day the world knew that these prehistoric animals were still alive. But so far there is no proof of that. Nevertheless, whenever a body of water is said to contain monsters, you will find at least one person screaming about plesiosaurs. One of the most popular examples is Chump, the monstrous cryptid that supposedly inhabits Lake Champlain. Stories about it have existed for hundreds of years, starting with the Abenaki and Iroquois tribes. Chump sightings in the 1990s became massive, and many have suggested that the reason may be that people are misidentifying large fish. Another plesiosaur is claimed to live in Pepin Lake. Russia claims the monster at Khyr Lake, although it is unclear how a cold-blooded animal could have survived in Siberia in all places. Dinosaur at Partridge Resort. Back in 1908, Georges Dupuis wrote a great story for the Strand magazine in which he recounted his encounters with a colossal Ceratosaurus that supposedly lived in the northern Alaskan wilderness. One particularly striking image in the work depicts a dinosaur traveling through the snow, clutching a caribou in its jaw. Even at the time, people were skeptical. Naturalist Richard Lydecker wrote an article stating that Dupuis' supposed description seems credible to all scientists, but he was also not inclined to deny it completely, since he thought it strange that the respectable Georges Dupuis, a French-Canadian priest, would so rudely ruin his reputation by making up nonsense. Nessie. In first place, of course, will always be the Loch Ness Monster. Nessie has lived in the lake for centuries, with the first reports of it dating back to 565 AD. The mania to study Loch Ness began in 1933, when a couple vacationing by the lake claimed they saw a huge creature in it. After countless searches, thousands of dollars, and the use of sonar and underwater photography by the Boston Academy of Applied Sciences, most people no longer believe in Nessie these days. Even the famous 1994 photograph was identified as a fake. I try very hard for you to learn more interesting things from our world. About this will not tell in the school and the government. Please appreciate my work. Please do not forget to subscribe, and like that more people would see the truth. I will be glad to try for you. Enjoy the view. Respectfully, find out.